Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm back to talk about the 100 episode 612 titled Adjustment Protocol, which premiered Tuesday, July 30th, 2019 on the CW. I'm recording at 11:06 p.m. for me, so huge spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first, then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. Otherwise, my other video reminders are up on screen. Take a moment to remind yourselves. Again, another YouTube shout out to Mr. Legendary AO for their thoughts, and truly appreciated just getting another perspective on the episode. I also really don't mind the essay, as you call it, that you leave. It definitely gives me another appreciation for the numbering system we've established between each other, especially when I reply back. But I look forward to those, and if I haven't already, I will reply once this video is uploaded. So I'm looking forward to see what you have to say about this episode, and I'm also looking forward to anybody else who wants to leave a comment to let me know what they think, because this episode was it was intense, I gotta say. So I'll leave it at that. I'll try to do this in 30 minutes. If I'm able to finish before 30 minutes, I'll be pretty shocked because it is a lot to talk about in this episode in particular. So let's see how it goes. Starting the clock, and let's begin with what happened in this episode. So first off, the title card, essentially, again, it changes. Specifically, I took note of the fact that it has the purple fog looking over Sanctum, which I was a little surprised after watching the episode that it didn't really show up. I don't know if it was supposed to be like a different type of representation, but we definitely got a little more scenic type of views around it too. There's this really nice when it said the last title card for Jason, that nice field shot was beautiful color wise and everything, gorgeous. I wonder if we actually see that place on Sanctum. But anyways, moving forward, timeline wise, it kind of continues from where 611 ended off. I mean, the first scene is Russell implanting another mind drive into Clarke's body. Not sure if that was meant to be one of the erased mind drives from the Lee family, since they technically would have had one left, since with the 4 drives, one went to Kane, one went to Amori and Murphy, so there would have been one left. So I'm wondering if that's the one that was being used now for Clarke, to allow for who he believes to be Josephine to be back up on the new drive. That's what I'm assuming. But timeline-wise, though, like chronologically, I believe it's supposed to be currently the year 2281, based on the 100 wiki page for Jordan. They specifically have like his birth date and how long he's been in cryo sleep. So it said that he was woken up at 2281, and I'm assuming that was shortly before he woke Bellamy and Clarke up at the end of 513. So that's a little crazy, like how far in the future we are. But anyways, moving on. Episode reminder is the fact that the title name itself, Adjustment Protocol, we actually see what that entails, and it is very extreme type of a protocol, to say the least. So there's that. Episode objective is pretty much trying to stop the resurrections of the primes, even though Russell's whole goal is to try to make sure the resurrections go to plan, which I'll get into in a moment in the different episode storylines or breakdowns for it. I picked up on 3 distinct ones, and they all come together for the 4th one. Now, the first one being the resurrecting of the primes, second one being lowering the shield, third one being the distracting toxin, and then the 4th one that has all 3 kind of joining together for the 4th one is the revealing of the truth. So the first storyline, this one deals mostly with Russell's perspective and how he's preparing to use the bone marrow taken from Maddy to create enough hosts to resurrect all the primes all at once at the new naming day. So there is that. Second storyline with lowering the shield is Clarke's personal mission to try to get the shield lowered while she's also pretending to be Josephine. So he's here accomplishing that. Third storyline is the releasing the toxin that was supposed to be a distraction point for the people of Sanctum. Apparently, they get Gabriel going AWOL once he hears from the guards outside the perimeter that the new resurrections were happening as the approaching naming day occurs. So Gabriel sets off the red sun toxin prematurely. He was supposed to do it after all the cavalry have gotten into the perimeter, but because he set it off too soon, the alarm went off too soon, and it was just like it did not work according to plan. So there is that. And with the 4th time, with everyone coming in together, with the shield gone down, with the toxin kind of averted, or not averted, but kind of like confirmed to be a false alarm, Bellamy forces Priya to reveal the truth to the crowd about them being false gods, while using Riker's mind drive as leverage, because he was confirmed dead by Echo's hands in this episode. But after that whole big reveal to the crowd, Russell sets off the adjustment protocol, which is pretty much using the red sun toxin to set off the psychosis that would pit the people of Sanctum who are devout to the gods against those who were non-believers. So you had them pitted against each other. And so our Earthbound characters and the Children of Gabriel, they take the antidote, or the antitoxin, while also trying to evade getting attacked by the devout psychosis people, because they don't want to kill anybody. So they're kind of holed up in a bunker now. And the last moments of the episode show Indra and Nyla and all the ones awake on the Allegiance ship, preparing for the onboard evasion. That is Russell and the other primes coming aboard while they hold Maddy, Raven, Gaia, and Jackson as prisoners at gunpoint. So there's that. So character-wise, though, we do see Abby not only turn herself into Nightblood so that she could be the new recipient for the bone marrow instead of it being taken from Maddy, because Maddy wasn't strong enough to have it happen enough more times. And then, unfortunately, Abby does become the new host to Simone after she proved to be a threat to Russell. So there's that. Murphy and Amori, they do go through the process of not only becoming Nightbloods, but also getting their mind drives implanted in them, and they take on the new personas of Daniel and Kaylee Lee, who are siblings. And I just find it very odd and I'm also surprised that they agreed to take on the personas of siblings instead of their parents, the married couple in the Lee family. And I know, like, they don't know who they are, but to find out from Gabriel's like, they're siblings, right? And then I just found it weird that they didn't ask any questions, or they didn't know a little bit more of who they're actually taking the identities of, because they're trying to pose as these gods to use mind drives for themselves. So we do get to see them a little bit more dressed up than we normally would. And it was definitely a different style for sure, but they looked really good. But there's that. I'll talk about a little bit more from them later. We do see the return of Miranda Mason, one of the primes. She was resurrected, and along with the two other members of her family, Caleb and Jasmine. But I believe Miranda was resurrected. I think her new host is Gavin's wife, I think, because she looked very familiar, her new host. So I'll probably, by the time I'm editing the video, I hope I put the correction on screen. Maybe it is her, maybe it's not. Not enough info has gone up yet by this point, since the the West Coast hasn't seen it yet. So there is that. Also with Priya, the 7th, I believe, she is killed by Delilah's parents during the adjustment protocol psychosis. And it was stated in the episode that she was the pilot out of the primes. So her death meant that Raven was forced to pilot the transport ship up to the Allegiance 3. No, the main ship in the space. So there's that. Moving on to tidbits now. We do see Maddy growing a lot more violent. It seems like Shaheda is more in control over her. We see Raven trying repeatedly to erase Shaheda from the flame, yet it seems like the flame is protecting the Shaheda code inside of it. So that's... And she needs the book. She keeps referring to the fact that she needs the book in order to bypass that security feature of the flame. So it doesn't look like we'll be seeing that unless they're able to do so on board. But we'll have to wait and see about that. We also see Maddy, like, through her aggression, she keeps on talking like the third person and using plurals like, we will destroy you, or we will, once we are free. It's like she's part of the group, and yet it doesn't feel like it's actually her speaking. So it's just like, it kind of seems like she's more possessed, if anything. Like, actually, like the old school possessions you'd think of, not like the new agey stuff I've come to realize or come to recognize, so in these shows I watch. So there's that. Also, another tidbit is the fact that of the created Nightbloods, we now have Clarke, Echo, Amori, and Murphy. You could add Abby to it if she was still technically on their side, but as a new host to Simone, she's not, so I ain't gonna count her. So there's that. So let's get into ship status very quickly. We do have Bellamy and Clarke. They don't really have They don't have much scenes together, but they are working together just on two different sides of the plan, which we have seen them do before, specifically season 2, which I'll talk about later. We do see Murphy and Amori ultimately deciding to stay behind on Sanctum to help save their friends instead of going up and seeking refuge in space as the new primes. So there's that. Echo and reunites with Bellamy, so there's one there. With Clarke and Abby, they get reunited briefly before Clarke has to go and pretend to be Josephine once again to get the shield down. Abby and Raven, apologies were made between them, which I'll touch on later. Abby and Jackson, call back to them doing things to survive under a warlord beforehand. Definitely calling back to one of the conversations they had about like how they did what they had to do because they survived it, they didn't have a choice. And then the comeback was the fact that it's said by every war criminal or something. I don't know. But they definitely did a callback. When you hear it, you know like you've heard it before, but I don't remember what it was said. So sorry about that. And then also we briefly see a little bit of Miller and Jackson, just briefly enough that we see Miller reacting to seeing Jackson being taken as a hostage by the Primes. He tries to rush to get to him, but the other Earthborns kind of hold him back, saying you won't be able to get to him through the chaos that the psychosis was bringing. So they're trying to stick together for that. So there's that. So let's move on to the most shocking moment of the episode. I would have to say that it has to be not only Abby becoming a Nightblood to relieve Maddy of the stresses of being the bone marrow recipient, but the fact that Abby got mind wiped by Russell and became the new host for Simone. I think the moment that she made herself a Nightblood, she kind of made it obvious that was a possibility of her being forced to be a host. I mean, and I don't believe that Abby is in the same situation as Clarke was when being a host, because I think Abby's own mind drive in the form of the City of Light key, I think her safety net through that is not available to her, because I think hers was fried by the EMP at the end of season 3 to sever her from the City of Lights and allow her to help them in the end. I think she got the EMP in 316. But I don't think it's viable, because at first I thought, oh, maybe Abby could survive because I know she took the key, but then I also remembered she kind of had it fried because she was taken out of Allie's influence before Allie was shut down. So I don't think Abby can come back the way that Clarke was able to. Plus, probably this is going to be the unpopular opinion, but I think Russell made the smart play against Abby. I mean, he got rid of his threat before she could make a move against him. Like she threatened him in front of her, saying like, because you took away my daughter, I won't stop until like I take revenge on you. She pretty much, to summarize, that's pretty much what she told him. And he did what he knew that she was right, and he knew that she wouldn't stop because that's what he would do. And he got rid of her before she could do anything. And I think that was a smart play for him. It was a great survival move for sure, but it's always like that's always something I always criticize about for characters, is the fact that for the hero character they always go for the higher road, obviously, and they always leave their enemies, whether they're restrained or not, but they always leave them alive if they can. And 9 times out of 10, them being left alive means they come back and do a lot worse than they would if they were just killed off. I mean, in TV shows. Just in TV shows. Do not apply this to real life or anything. But that's something I always found. So the fact that Russell just kind of went straight to the point to kind of end the threat was a smart move for him. But then also with that, you also have Abby making the mistake of voicing her threat to him. Obviously alerting to him that she is a threat to him and that he needs to watch out for her. And he did. He took out the threat before she could do anything. So it was a mistake on Abby's part. If anything, she should have just kept her hatred to herself and secretly plotted her revenge against him where he couldn't see it coming. I mean, that would have worked a lot better in her favor. But in this case, Russell did outplay Abby in this sense. So I know that's going to be a very unpopular opinion. And no, I haven't been a fan of Abby's this season or since her whole drug addiction thing started, but I still did not want to see this happen to her. Like this, the timing just sucked for sure. And that will come up later on. So let's get right into parallels very quickly now that we're over with my shocked. I'm still shocked by it too. I don't know why. It's like it was a predictable move, but yet I'm still shocked that it went that far. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Anyways, parallels. Let's talk about parallels. First parallel specifically is with Bellamy and Clarke, because now you have their roles being switched in regards to now Clarke being the inside man. When Bellamy did that role for Mount Weather, he went in to take down the acid fog that was shielding Mount Weather and stopping the grounders and their sky crew from infiltrating and getting their people back. So now it's similar with Clarke doing the same thing, how she has to go inside the perimeter and find a way to bring down the radiation shield, so that she can let Bellamy and the other and his cavalry come in and do what needs to be done. So that's a parallel between the two of them there. Kind of like you know how it feels now to be pretending to be something you're not while trying to do something else. So I'm rambling, but that's a parallel there. Second parallel is the fact that the Primes wanted to seek sanctuary in space as quote-unquote sanctum is lost. This is paralleling what happened due to Prime Fire, specifically how we had all our characters go somewhere, or I guess kind of with Prime Fire, but then also with the Damocles missile that went off, they went to space to seek refuge. And I guess you could say with the first apocalypse that happened, that also parallels it there. So now that it seems like the planet has been lost to them temporarily. Though, if you were to be honest, the Primes could have just escaped into the woods and found shelter elsewhere or something. I don't know. But they could have done that. But that's a parallel there with all the escapes to space type of thing. As if it's a luxury to do such a thing. So there's that. Another parallel, or I guess it's a commonality, I guess you can say, is the fact that Miller is being entrusted once again to keep their people safe. Which is why he's always being left behind. We got it specifically with Clarke telling him to keep our people safe while the trouble comes to them. And then we have seen Bellamy do that a few times in the past as well too. But it's definitely a trait for Miller's where he is entrusted in that role. So that's something there. Also a heads up as well too. I love where when Miller kind of defended himself against Octavia, she was suggesting or putting out an order of of what their next move could be, and he just immediately snapped, saying, "I don't take orders from you anymore," which is definitely reacting to the whole Blood Reina trauma that he had to deal with. So it was a good moment to have that established that he's not going to be following her, but if he happens to follow her order, it's just because of survival. It's not because he's loyal to her, in a sense. So it was a good little moment there for him to have. And the last parallel I had was probably a premature one, but the fact that Abby's death parallels Clarke's own experience in 604 with having her mind wiped for the process. I'm even sure that the tear that fell was from the same eye as well too. So it's like you got that parallel there as well. That's definitely a little more premature than we would have hoped, but that's what you get. So let's move on to top 3 favorite moments for sure. First one has to be all of Clarke's reunions. I was hoping for this last episode when she was first in, but I'm glad that they took some time to actually have it happen many times in the episode. It's 3 distinct times that they had it. So first one was Clarke reuniting with Abby, also revealing herself to Raven and Jackson in the process that she was actually Clarke and not Josephine like they first thought. And it was such a great thing to have the contrast of Abby, Jackson, and Raven seeing Clarke for the first time and then believing it's Josephine. And that's the beginning. And then to see it when Clarke returns and reveals to them that she's actually Clarke, and just to see that relief coming off of them when before you saw like the grief in them really distraught over the fact that Clarke's standing in front of us, but she's not Clarke. And like she's very convincing of the fact that like she was pretending to be Josephine, but then to come back and have her like reveal like, no, it's me. And then like the relief or like the awe from them saying like, you're actually here. That was a great moment to have for sure. Love that. Another reunion was the fact where Clarke was reuniting with Echo, Miller, and Gaia. The hug between Clarke and Echo was definitely a surprise for me, but I'm all for that for sure. It's just to see, I wasn't sure Echo was going to go for it, but like she knew from the way that Clarke was speaking that like something was off. So I'm glad that instincts were there and she went to go with it. But I wasn't expecting the hug, so I'm all for it. Also, Miller's smile at greeting Clarke as Clarke was just amazing. And then also just Gaia's amazement over the fact, like, how are you still here type of things. Like, she couldn't believe it. It's just like, yes. It just makes Clarke all that more awesome, that everyone just is amazed by the fact that you survived this. Amazing. So there's that. And also my favorite reunion, and something I've been waiting for, is just Clarke revealing herself discreetly to Murphy and Amori by calling Murphy Murphy, because Josephine calls him by his first name. So when Murphy and Amori made the announcement to Josephine that they're going to stay behind and protect and try to save their people, Clarke just gets a little choked up and she says, I'm so proud of you, Murphy. And then that smile, when he takes a moment and realizes that name thing, and he just takes his small smile, and then Amori's like amazed realization that, like, this is actually Clarke in front of them. And then him just keeping his cool and saying, like, just to be clear, she would call me John. I even put the quote on screen right now. But it's just like that brief exchange. Like, there's people still in the room. There was guards in the room, and it wasn't enough of like a big thing to, like, know that something's up. But just like that one word, that's all I wanted Clarke to say to Murphy. Just call him by his surname so he knows that it's you. And that was enough. And it's just like, yes, I was waiting for it. And then just to have her tell him that she was proud of him, and it was just like, yes, thank you. I'm still going off of that fanfic that has Clarke and Murphy like thick as thieves and stuff. So it's like, every time I see them on the same side together and actually working towards something, it just hugely reminds me of how far they've come. So it's just like, yes. I should have put it as ship as well, too, just Clarke and Murphy. It's just like, that's something. It's like, yes, give me that as well. But it's just great to have that moment between the three of them. So I'll leave it at that. Another favorite I did have, it's just a small little thing, but it's between Bellamy and Octavia. The fact that they have to wait on the outside. They're usually more of like, they're like in the gulf of the action. So the fact that they have to wait until they can hear the signal and allow themselves to go through, you can see it's very nerve-wracking for both of them, specifically for Bellamy. And then he's just having Octavia telling him, like, you gotta have faith. They'll come through. Clarke will come through and do it. And then later on, when the shield is down, and Bellamy just smiles at Octavia and says, like, Clarke did it, as if saying, like, I knew she could do it. And then they're both smiling. It's been a long time since they both smiled at each other. And then when they were just bumping shoulders with each other and just like overjoyed with the fact, like, this could work, like they were able to do this one step, the bumping shoulders thing and them grinning at each other, that's what's my favorite, because it just reminded me of the fact that they're siblings. They used to have that dynamic, and the fact that they were able to have that little small moment to just be siblings and just to be joyful together over the fact that they've managed to go over this hurdle, was just like, that had to be a favorite, because it's just a small thing. It's a small moment for them, but it's just like, yes, thank you. They needed that after such a huge journey they've been through together, or their separate journeys that have led them apart. So it's just like, yay for the siblings, for sure. So there's that. And then another favorite I did have, which will tie into a peeve, and you might understand why, is my favorite was the fact that Abby was able to get resolutions with Raven and Jackson. She said her apologies. She told Jackson that he was a good man. She apologized to Raven about her treatment, about everything that's happened, about how she won't treat her badly again, how she views her as family despite not being her mom, and just like resolving to focus on what she has instead of what she's lost, and like making a true choice to make change. I love that for sure, which makes it my peeve also, which we'll get into right now, because my top peeve for this episode was the fact that Abby was killed. I'm going to put quote unquote killed, even though I'm pretty sure that's a permanent thing for her, as opposed to what Clarke went through. But the peeve is the fact that Abby was killed after she makes amends with Raven and Jackson, and then also got her chance to reunite with Clarke. So she had all these things lined up, and then she ends up getting killed. At this point, if that's the case, I hope none of the characters get their things resolved, because the moment that they do, now I gotta worry about, oh, that's their time to die. It's like, no, that's like bringing on a guest star to an episode. You're so excited to see them, and then they die in that episode. It's like, well, why did you bring them back? You might as well just left them off screen where they're still alive and not have me see them die on screen. Like, if that's the case, that's pretty much like with this. It's like, oh, character resolution, huge character arc, huge character development, and then like all of a sudden they're dead. It's like, what was the point? You could have just, it's like, I don't want to see them resolve anything then if that means they're going to live, right? I mean, like, it's a huge character point for Abby, and it's something I would have waited for, just because, like, with her addiction, just like her attitude and stuff was just not, I was not feeling it. And if you watch my videos, you know how anti-Abby I've been. So, like, seeing these resolutions, I was so excited to see them happen, to have her moment with Jackson, to have her moment with Raven, but then to have her killed after all that, it's just like, no. I'd rather not see her have those resolutions if it means she's going to die, especially when she barely got any. And then what made it even worse was the fact that Abby's life literally flashed before my screen, where I'm getting callbacks to her life with Jake, to her life with Marcus Kane, and then also little small tidbits of Clarke, to Clarke being born, to Clarke growing up, and it's just like to her last moment with Clarke in this episode with their reunion. It's just like, no, you're making it. It's like, I was almost gonna cry for Abby, and as I was on an anti-Abby track, I almost cried for her death. It's just like, that's how peeved I am. I got this resolution for Abby, which I was all for. It's like, yes, she's on the road to making me like her again. And then you cut it off by killing her and making her Simone Lightborn. I mean, how much more of a peeve can it be for me? How much more do I have to say it? But there's that. So second peeve was the fact that Maddy seems to be the only one unaware that Clarke is officially back. I think we have all the Earthborn characters that have been in Sanctum. They are fully aware that Clarke is back now. Even the children of Gabriel know that she's back, but it seems like Maddy's the only one that's kind of in the dark about it, which kind of sucks, because I feel like if Maddy knew about the fact that Clarke was back, I think she'd fight a little more against Shaheda, or at least put up more of a fight, because Shaheda is feeding off the fact that Maddy wants revenge against Clarke's death, or she wants revenge for Clarke being taken as a vessel forcibly. And if she knew that Clarke was actually alive, maybe she wouldn't willingly feed into Shaheda's persuasions. So there's that. And another peeve is the fact that Jordan was not in this episode once again, and we haven't seen him since he got stabbed in 608. I mean, like, that's what, 4 episodes now? 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 4 episodes without Jordan. It's like, I get that he's healing and stuff, but like, with how high tech and advanced Sanctum is, I mean, they're able to resurrect people. Couldn't you find a way to heal his wounds and have him up and walking again? I mean, like, also the fact that, like, during this whole chaos and stuff, he better be in the finale, because I really hope that during all this chaos, they remember the fact that Jordan is not with them. So they gotta go rescue him, for sure. So that's something there. So let's move on to random questions very quickly. First question. When Murphy said, quote, "you killed her," to who he thought was Josephine he was saying that to. I'm wondering which her was he referring to. Was he referring to Clarke? Was he referring to Abby? Because he got a little choked up when he was saying it, unless that's me reading into it, but him getting a little choked up has me thinking maybe it's Clarke, but I don't know for sure. So that's a question there. Second question is, if Clarke has an empty mind drive inside of her, that's what I'm assuming at this point, could she potentially use it for herself like Murphy and Amori were prepped to do with their own mind drives that they were equipped with? So that's a question there. And last question, is there any coming back for Abby? Like I've said it in, stated in my shocking moments, I don't think Abby is in the same position Clarke was when it came to having a neural mesh to fall back on. I think Abby's from the whole City of Lights arc. I think hers got fried with the EMP, so I don't think it's an option for her. I want to hope that there is one, just because I hate to see Clarke find out the news of her, or I already saw that technically, because she already is now realizing that, well, Clarke couldn't fully react to the fact that Abby was used as Simone's vessel. She couldn't react fully because she was pretending to be Josephine. But I'd really hate for that to Clarke to finally have that moment to have it sink in. So I really hope there's a way for them to bring Abby back, because I was looking forward to her road to redemption. She was just starting about it with her whole resolutions with everybody thing, like, do I need to put you back to my peeves and stuff? But yeah, I'm wondering if she can come back from this. I don't think she can, but if she does, they really need a good explanation as to why their neural mesh couldn't be an option, or how it could be, despite me believing that it was destroyed. I will have to go back and rewatch 316 just to see if she was actually it was EMP'd or not, or fried or not. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. It's getting late for me. But let's move on to predictions very quickly. Based off the promo for 6/13, it is the season finale. So the fighting will continue inside Sanctum with the devout against the non-believers, also with our Earthborns trying to get out alive without killing anybody. But we do hear distinctly Indra's quote of, "You didn't think this through." Plus, there's also going to be some hostility on the ship in space as well, too. Plus, they did show the cryo sleep beds as well, too. So there's a timer. Whether that means they're going to be waking them up, whether that means they're going to use them for themselves or something, I have no idea. So there is that. And the synopsis, though, for the episode reads, Sanctum becomes a battleground between the devout and the non-believers, which is what I said, and the mystery of the anomaly deepens. Now, I did read that the plan for Season 7 was to go a little further into the anomaly, which leads me to believe that Sanctum is not going to be completely... I can't think of the word. It won't be completely evacuated. That isn't the word I was looking for, but it works. So we'll just have to see about that. Plus, also with the anomaly, we got with that Titan, we got to figure out what it did to Octavia. We got to figure out what she has forgotten about her time in the anomaly. There's also the fact that Diyoza went into the anomaly, so we're wondering if she's going to be returning in some way, and that's why the mystery will deepen. It'll be very interesting to see what kind of cliffhanger they do leave us off for in the finale, just because we already know that Season 7 was renewed. I mean, they renewed it before Season 6 even aired. So that'll be something there to be very curious about. So I will leave it at that. But that is pretty much it, guys. So what did you guys think of the episode? What did you guys like about it? What do you think will happen in the finale? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, theories, and opinions. Like I stated at the very beginning of the video, to gain another perspective about it is just a huge eye-opener for me. It definitely helps me see if you picked up things that I didn't, or maybe I've opened your eyes to some other things with my rambles. But it's very interesting to read. So I do hope to hear what you have to say. Also, thank you for listening to what I have to say. But again, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. So there is that. Also, don't forget to follow me on Tumblr if you want to check out any of my reblogs for, I'm just blanked, but anything I reblog with videos, synopses, GIFs, posts, all that's on Tumblr. I am behind, but I will be caught up on it. Man, I'm already forgetting. If I don't say it a certain way, I forget what it's supposed to be, how it's supposed to say. Wow. But anyways, if you want to check out my WordPress account, link for that is down below. Anything I post online is connected to my WordPress. I'll link more organized, more detailed, but still work in progress. Tumblr link is down below as well. That is what I forgot to say. But yeah, so that is about it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. Again, thank you so much for your support. I cannot express enough how much it truly means to me, and that you are tuning in to hear what I have to say. So I hope you come back next week to hear what I say about the finale. I feel like it's going to be huge. I don't know how they're going to leave it off, but I just feel like, yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but like, I'm excited for it. So yeah, come back and check out what I have to say about that. But until then, guys, this is Mel. Wish you a great day, great week wherever you are, and enjoy the rest of your summer. Take care. Bye.